Steve Fox is a British pro boxer who first made his appearance in Tekken 4. Growing up in... wait, what? Through a very old-fashioned form of in vitro fertilization, he is Nina's son. Now this is personal. After refusing to take a dive in a boxing match, the Mafia ended up putting a hit on his head. Once he realised he couldn't run, he entered the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. As his story unfolded, he learned more about his past and sought to find his mother for more answers. Sadly, it wasn't the loving reunion he had hoped for. Steve is a master of controlling the pace of a match, with many low risk and moderate reward tools to keep the opponent frustrated and struggling to find their opening. But once he has a read on the opponent's movement and attack patterns, he can let loose with a number of low to moderate risk and high reward tools. Steve excels in pressure with a strong poking game and excellent counter-hit fishing tools. He has underrated movement thanks to his ability to duck, weave and stance cancel animations, and his low frame punishment is above average, which is very important for opponents who are less likely to throw out risky moves. While Steve is a strong character, he does still have a number of weaknesses. Without rage, his punishment against -15 and -16 moves is well below average, with him being unable to launch punish until -17. His lows are great for poking, but generally not too threatening, so he doesn't do well trying to play as a 50-50 style game plan. While his downfall 2 allowed him ridiculous abilities to lock down opponents, this is no longer the case, and Steve would be considered to have below average tracking. Lastly, when trying to play Steve to his best potential, he does become very execution heavy. Back 1 is an I-13 high left hook, which feels like it has the hitbox of a UGIF. This is his go-to move when it comes to counter-hit fishing. While it is -14 on block, he can cancel it into flicker stance and make it safe. And it has 2 follow-ups, one of which is a natural combo and still gives a juggle on counter-hit. It's important to not get too predictable with patterns and try not to use slow moves that leave you exposed to being counter-hit by this move. This move can be stepped to Steve's right, that is, sidestepping left, and it can also be ducked, so it isn't unbeatable at least. Downforward 1+2, or Sonic Fang, is an I-14 mid-mid attack with long reach. Although it doesn't launch, it does still knock down and is a very good 14 frame punisher, which also holds a lot of versatility in combos. It's so good that they gave him a second rage drive just so he could borrow its animation. Sonic Fang itself though is -12 on block and can be walked in both directions, but a good Steve would keep this move within punishment, combos and specific reads. It's still very important to be ready to punish it when you see it though. Downforward 2 was his key move to restrict your lateral movement, with full homing in both directions. Now it is an incredibly linear I-16 mid. That being said, if his game is mostly about figuring out your timing, a good Steve player can make this move work, especially against opponents who are using high evasion out of fear of back 1. This move allows a duck cancel, which can result in mind games on both hit and block. On counter hit he can get a full combo, however this is quite execution demanding, so you need to be well learned in performing this. Down +2-1 is a low mid which has a risky high ender attached to it, perfect for counter hit launching opponents attempting to punish the string, as it's only -11. It comes out in 17 frames and is very difficult to step, making an excellent poke to annoy the opponent, and as it's a quick successive low mid, it is fantastic for ending rounds. Extended duck forward +2 is one of Steve's answers to not having many threatening lows. This move is +15 on block if you cancel into duck, and it acts as a guard break against opponents who are just holding back. Of course, there are weaknesses for such a powerful tool. It is technically performed from a stance within a stance, making it somewhat predictable, It is a high, giving the opponent an opportunity to duck and launch, and it can also be stepped by sidestepping right. As stated earlier, Steve is great at controlling the pace of the match, and this can leave a lot of players frustrated. The nerf to down forward 2 means that you're not completely locked down anymore, and there is some merit in trying to step to the left, that is Steve's right, at close to mid-range. Play patiently, and try not to show any obvious openings. Be aware that he cannot launch you until something is -17, unless he has rage. This means you can often afford to throw out some less safe moves early in the round, depending on the opponent. Steve's main goal is to pressure you into making a wrong move, as he fishes for a counter hit. It's often best to play defensively against Steve because of this. Try to use quick pokes and then create some space. Rinse and repeat until you have a life lead, then remain patient and see if the opponent is inclined to use something a little riskier to give you a big opening. If you're feeling comfortable against your opponent, you are able to take your turn and try to pressure Steve. But try to keep your frame traps tight and your timing unpredictable. It can be a good idea to include high evading moves into your pressure, especially because of back 1. Using Steve's Gatling Punch as a wall hit into forward 2 is more of a knowledge check than anything else, but it's definitely worth keeping in mind. This will hit you if you stay grounded and catch any attack you do. If you tech roll, you can block this, but it will connect on a later active frame, making it -12 instead of -13. If you tech roll left, it will sometimes whiff, giving you a free launch. Down forward +2 and while standing +2 into duck on block can be interrupted. For a lot of players, they may default to taking a turn by using a jab check in an uncertain situation. Steve is able to cancel his duck into a punch parry, countering this option and leaving you in a mix-up situation even on block. If you don't want to deal with this situation, a fast kick, shoulder or headbutt will always beat follow-ups, including the punch parry. Albatross 2 into back +2 is a situation that seems like it shouldn't work. It's a -8 on block move into a 17 frame move. That's a 25 frame gap. This will catch a lot of people due to the spacing resulting from Albatross 2 though. You may try and use the frame advantage you get from blocking the Albatross 2 to take advantage and take a turn. And in the process, you need to make sure that you don't use a move that will whiff. So make sure you use a move that will reach in the situation, or just wait and whiff punish. Back +1 back into flicker back 2 is a classic situation of using a power crush while minus, and another example of why jab checking is not a smart option in this matchup. Flicker back 2 is a safe high power crush, and is used here to contest people trying to take a turn after blocking a back +1. You can either stay patient and block, duck or evade this attack, or you can use a low or a string which goes into a low to beat this. Down 1 has been changed in Season 4 to be -2 on hit, making it a much less threatening situation to deal with, but still a mind game nonetheless. As Steve recovers in crouch and you recover standing, you do have the upper hand generally. If Steve chooses to go for his while standing 1, a magic 4 or other fast move will win here. He could instead choose to use a move to evade a high attack, including his full crouch down forward 2, showing that there is risk in doing so. A 13 frame mid, such as down forward +1, will trade with his while standing 1 and beat other offensive options. But do remember, Steve is still able to weave in either direction from full crouch, so he can evade this and punish accordingly. A 12 frame mid will trade with Steve's dick jab and beat any other offensive option, but the opportunity to sidestep or weave is also applicable for Steve in this situation. Steve's disparity between high and low advantage punishment means that all of Nina's lows except for wipe the floor and quarter circle forward 3 are the same risk on block. Sidestep plus 4, down plus 2 and quarter circle forward plus 3 are still recommended as they allow you to evade any back plus 1 attempts. Likewise, while standing, Steve will only get a knockdown punishment against reverse ivory cutter and no launch. Do keep track of rage though, as once Steve is in rage, he can now launch punish anything Nina has at minus 14 or worse. Nina having a proper throw game comes in handy in this matchup as well. While it is possible, there is a small window for getting counter hit during a throw, so this can be a lower risk way to break the opponent's guard. As always, backsway can play a vital role in this match. Combine it with sidestep left and you can do a great job in forcing whiffs and limiting Steve's moveset. This can force the Steve player to use some riskier tools to try and catch the backsway, and in turn give you more opportunities to deal damage. Steve does not have a conventional spring kick, which makes Nina's Oki game more threatening, as now there are a number of situations where you can approach with a low, or a mid, or even a high sometimes, and catch them for a full juggle. Do keep in mind though, if he does use his spring kick and you block it, he does get a free float for a full juggle. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a bit from it too. If you would like to connect with me and see more from me, search for AFriendlyTree on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Discord or Patreon. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.